really think that he's the guy. I think that he is going to be the guy. And here's why. Nobody wants to follow the GOAT because you will always be compared to the GOAT. And if we're talking about standards that are so unachievable, for most coaches, you can go win 12 games, and that is in a historic season. They will worship the ground you walk on. Go ask Lane Kiffin over at Ole Miss. But if you win 12 games in Alabama, they may come after you to fire you. It has been the topic of discussion. It has been a historic week of coaching changes. We've reached probably nauseum level on the discussion about on this, but it is the University of Alabama. It is Nick Saban. It is the greatest of all time. He has left, and they still don't have a coach as of this morning. And there's been a few that have been in the pipeline that have turned it down. Dan Lanning. There's a lot that are popping into the conversation. Wanted to get your thoughts as we sit here on this Friday morning. Coach not being named, where do we think this is going to go? Bubba, we'll start with you.
Well, ever since the announcement, Alabama fans have been congregating in Tuscaloosa. They've been taking their pilgrimage. They've surrounded the bronze statue with offerings of Little Debbie's. They've all made their way down. They've congregated outside where all the trustees, the university president, the athletic department has all locked themselves into Archibald's barbecue for the conclave together. And they're all waiting to see that poof of white smoke as it rises up from the ashes of Archibald, announcing that a new football coach has been declared for the University of Alabama. Great praise. He'll announce himself to the world. I don't know who it is. I don't know what it's going to be. You know, I think the real winner here is super agent Jimmy Sexton. Jimmy Sexton has all the contenders. Any way you look at it, he's making money. Not only because he's gonna have the biggest say as to who the next coach of the University of Alabama is, but he's making sure that all of his coaches profit here. He's making sure that all of them get bonuses, all of them are in the discussion, all of them get increases. The real question is this: is the next coach for the University of Alabama truly set up for success or truly set up for failure? And only time will tell that.
Hey, I'll answer that question right now. It is a game of chess. Jimmy Sexton controls all the chess pieces, right? Everybody's market is going to be at an all-time high. But here's the thing that sticks out in my head, right? And Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, has actually become a serious contender. Nobody really, I'm just being honest here, it's my opinion, but I don't think anybody really cares for Tommy Rees. I think they like him better than Bill O'Brien, but I don't think that they really think that he's the guy. I think that he is going to be the guy, and here's why. Nobody wants to follow the GOAT because you will always be compared to the GOAT. And if we're talking about standards that are so unachievable, for most coaches, you can go win 12 games, and that is in a historic season. They will worship the ground you walk on. Go ask Lane Kiffin over at Ole Miss. But if you win 12 games in Alabama, they may come after you to fire you, right? Especially depending on which of those games that you lost, right? We had a great season. Alabama had a great season. Disappointing season because they didn't win the national title. Where I'm going with this, you need a fall guy. Tommy Rees is your fall guy. Once he is the fall guy, then you go and get one of these big names, which we're talking about, which stands on the big board, which they've been talking about being Lane Kiffin, could be Dabo Swinney, could be D'Amico Ryans, could be Dan Lanning back revisited again, could be Steve Sarkisian. So I don't think Bama's going to get the huge name. I could be wrong here, and I probably am. This is why it's a Zero Credibility podcast. But I think you're going to get a, that's who we got type of name, and he'll be in the program for a year, maybe. If he has success, maybe two. We don't know. We'll go from there.
I have it on good authority that biogeneticists at the University of Alabama have been working around the clock since Nick Saban has announced his retirement to mix the genes of Nick Saban and Bear Bryant together. The Uber Bama baby.
That would be one ugly baby.
Bear Saban. There we go. JT, how do you see this?
I mean, G, you touched on something. You know, I think that any coach out there that wants to follow Saban is naive and maybe a little bit sociopathic, because why would you want to follow someone that's had the success that he has? And quite frankly, maybe the worst team that I've seen him put out on the field in quite some time, maybe since some of his early years. I think what we're going to end up here is with the season of the Mikes and the Dennis, the Mike DeBose, the Mike Price, the Mike Shulas. I'm an Auburn guy. We loved those times. And when you have someone come out of here like you just did with Saban, like you've got to expect for there to be a bit of a J curve. You've got to go down. And what coach in their right mind wants to be the one that takes that J curve into that downward swing before you can come back up? I don't think it matters about the coach today. The whole thing that this has shown me is that this is where Jimmy Sexton plays. You hit the nail on the head, Bubba. There's a bunch of coaches about to make a bunch of money off of Saban's retirement that have nothing to do with Alabama. And it's the game within the game, because the reality is you might as well hire Reese. You might as well hire whoever. They're going to be there 1 or 2 seasons. And what you're really looking for is who is that second or third coach to follow Saban. That's the coach that's really going to matter.
First game of the season, actually maybe even the spring game. The coach is going to lose the coin toss, and Alabama fans are going to call for his head right away.
Bingo. Yeah,
right.
It's a
lose-lose situation if you're one of these big name coaches. It is not the job to have right now. And that's really hard for me to say, as prestigious as it is, but here's the other reason. Here's my closing thoughts on this, on why I think it's if it's not Tommy Rees, it's somebody of that caliber, right? Saban is going to have an office over there in Bryant-Denny. Saban may not be the HC. He's going to be in control. He's still going to have his hand on this. And one of the things Saban did that was the most important thing for the University of Alabama when they hired him, he said, I'm in control. All these people with your money, all these people that think they're in control, they get zero input. I'm in control. All these other big name coaches out there that Alabama is looking at and asking the question, they're all asking that question right now. They're all asking that question right now to Greg Byrne and saying, will I be in control? And they're probably not getting the answer that they want, because Saban's going to have that corner office over there in Bryant-Denny. He is still in control, but that is also why I think that this program is going to be in good hands, even if it comes into somebody like Tommy Rees. It won't be to the expectation and standards that Nick has established. And then once Nick finally goes and spends time with his dealership business and his house in Florida and moves out of Bryant-Denny, then I think you get the guy.